Hello, Patreon family. Happy holidays. What is today? Thursday, December the 26th, and I have been on vacation for a while. So I'm arriving today kind of quiet and reflective, not really in work mode, which is going to make this a fun Zen card pull because I can feel there's a lot that is wrapping up as we complete this year and begin the next year. There's a lot astrologically shifting. So I'm curious to see where this Zen card pull is going to go and what wisdom is going to come through. So happy holidays. I trust you have had time with family and friends, and you are arriving as I am, very satiated with all the activity. We have been cooking and cleaning and hosting and traveling, and not traveling a lot, but traveling around to get things done. So today the house is quiet. My husband is upstairs taking a nap and on the couch, and the kids are out, and I'm just kind of hanging down here. So I watched last month's video all the way through. I wanted to tune in and kind of get a sense of, how did it go according to what I had predicted or felt into, and what is the energy that's carrying us to this moment and to starting right here. So in case you forgot, the cards from last month, the creator was our past. It was bringing everything that we have been working on and creating through this year, really through this decade, up behind us and underneath us into last month. The new moon was right before Thanksgiving weekend. And so again, we were around this time of celebration and community and family and friends. The present card that we pulled was for abundance. Very much about feasting and enjoying and receiving all of the goodness that's available in our lives. And then the future card from creator to abundance, the future card for last month was new vision. How are we preparing as we moved through the last 4 weeks to tune into 2020 and to evolve out of everything that we have been up until this moment? If you remember, the card had a little guy or creature, not creature, a human, that was crawling on the floor, and then coming out of that was this being that was in the warrior pose. You remember, with the hand pointing to the future, with the up, I don't have it in front of me, like up to the skies and looking up at the skies, but grounded here in this reality. And then the bonus card from our guides, it was conditioning. It was remembering that we are not here to be like the rest of the pack. We are here to be our own individual creators and expressions of that creation. And so there was the lion in the midst of the sheep. Remember that. And the message I felt and translated so clearly from our guides was be brave, be really courageous, and step out of what everyone expects you should be to make sure you fit in with the flock. And roar a little. Be a little bolder, a little more expressive of your own fierceness, and then see what that would bring you for the last month. So it was a whirlwind December for me. So much activity, a lot of events that I'd scheduled, and communities and creations, and just this like momentum that really carried me right into the holidays. And then here, all this time with family and friends and hosting and preparing. So I feel like I arrive here today very curious about what the next month is going to be bringing us as we cross the threshold into 2020. And also really steady, really calm, very I have this sense of completion that's so much in me and in the relationships and the exchanges around me. It feels very complete, very like I haven't missed dotting a lot of I's or crossing a lot of T's. I'm right where I wanted to be. And maybe even a little ahead of the game for myself. I was writing in my journal, I created this beautiful, what would you call it? You're getting a little bit of podcast material in here because I'm not doing a podcast. So there may be a tiny rambling before we go to the Zen card pull. But I created this beautiful self-portrait. I call it a soul self-portrait. And in it, I landed my name. I placed my name on a piece of paper, and then I placed all these other names around me, and then drew the way that the energy connects now compared to when I first did this soul portrait a couple of years ago. And then I sketched in around that, like Gaia, Earth, and my soul, and my connection to Source. And it was just such a powerful awareness for me to see as I look at 2020 who I am and who I am becoming, and how far I have evolved in the last 10 years. Even just in the last 2 to 3 years since I did that first portrait, how much has shifted in the way that I'm showing up in my world. And so, yeah, as I was journaling at the end of it, I was writing about time, and I looked at the time on the clock, and 9:11 is a really significant number for me. And I didn't realize it, but it was 9:10 on the clock as I was writing in my journal. And I just wrote down like 9:10, like I feel like I'm ahead, I'm just that little bit ahead of the markers I've set for myself, the placements of energy and events and intentions that I've been setting for myself. I'm just that little bit ahead of it. And that's an amazing place for me to be. I feel like much of my life I've been more in catch up, trying to get to where I thought I was supposed to be. So it's a really sweet shift. So that's where I arrived today. I'm going to shuffle the cards while we kind of drop in. I pulled cards for that 2020 picture that I drew for myself, and the abundance card showed up also in that drawing, which was really fun. I do feel like we are, those are all my crystals, I feel like we are stepping into a time of great receiving, if we are open to receiving. That's the universe, our souls, Source, God, whatever names you use, like that energy is so abundant and so ever present, and it's really up to us to decide and to pay attention to how much are we allowing, and are we open to receiving more. So it's a really good place to be. Okay, so I am just going to go from the top straight down, and we're going to play this way. So the first card is for the past, what we have been moving through over the last, I really feel like this could be for the last decade, what we have been working through. Completion. Are you kidding me? Oh, so good. That's the past. There you go. I don't know what to tell you. It's a pretty cool time right now. The next card is for the present, and we'll look at these more in a moment. The present, tuning in. It's perfect. We'll talk about that. And then the future, creativity. And this is for the future, as in the next month. Perhaps it's also outlining the next decade, but specifically it's for the next lunar month, for our cycle that we're following here with astrology. And I'll put these aside. We'll come back for a bonus from our guides at the end. I'm also really drinking more water today. I've not been good with the water. There's been a little more wine in my system than normal. So yeah. All right, let's do the past. We have looked at this card before, the completion card. So I'm going to expand on it, and we'll talk about it as over the last decade. Let's really honor, let me put it down for a second. Let's really honor the vastness of what we are completing as we move across from 2019 into 2020. I feel like I've had people actually say this to me, like, why is it such a big deal? Like, get over it. It's just another year. It's just another day. It's not. There is a focus that we as a collective humanity put on the turning of the calendar. And so if you remember when the Mayan calendar was coming to an end and there was all this like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? That focus on time popped open a whole level of creativity that has brought us the most incredible gifts of consciousness from things that were created in the energy of 2012. What is happening here on our planet as people are shifting, because we're just wrapping up the holidays and now we're shifting to, oh, New Year's next week. What are we doing for New Year? What does it mean? Oh my God, have we finished everything? Are we ready for the new year? Oh, it's a decade. We're completing a decade. There's a waking up that many are going to experience and tune into, and because more and more are going to talk about it and become aware of it, the power of that turning of the page from one decade to another is going to be significant. And we can flow through with, our typical unawareness and just move right into the same old patterns that we've always had as we transition from one year to the next. Or we can really tap into that awareness. We can be very conscious. This is what I believe the present card is going to show us. We can be very conscious of what we are completing, who we have been in the last decade, who we have been up until now. I was born in 1971. 1971. We are now at 2020. Are you kidding me? Like, when I was a little girl, 2020 was the age of like spaceships and crafts that we'd all climb onto, like the Jetsons, and like fly around because wheels wouldn't touch the ground in 2020. There was a sense of like some cosmic world that we would create, that we would all be living in when I was a little child. 2020 was so far away. Here we are. Here we are. In this next decade, I turn 50. Not this one, but the next year after this, 2021, I turn 50. And to feel the journey that I have been on to reach this moment, there's so much that has been experienced. So you can just look at the past year, you can look at the past 10 years, or you can look at your journey, like up until now, this transition into really what we are stepping into, the Aquarian age, this cosmically connected way of being a human here on this planet and being intimately part of this galaxy, this universe as a soul. The Aquarians, we are so tapped into what is beyond the physical, what is beyond what can be seen and touched and tasted and smelled and experienced, what can be felt, what can be intuitively known, right? Which is this. This completion card is the last piece of the puzzle. It makes me want to cry. The last piece of the puzzle to be put in place for us as a humanity is the third eye. It's this activation of trusting what we see, what we feel, what we know to be true inside here, and then expressing it. This card has so much blue. The blue to me is very much universe, connected to the cosmos, but also blue, the activation of the throat chakra. Can we start expressing what our intuition is telling us? Can we activate the flow of energy between these two and then bring forth all this wisdom that each one of us has? You know things I don't know. I know things you don't know. We all have these incredible souls that have lived way beyond this human journey. And yet, as we put the final piece to place, that's a human hand activating that third eye. It's a human grounded Capricorn person placing the third eye. And look at the smile, like this being knows what is happening when that completion is activated. My God, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, and the card number, if I can read it right, I think is XX1, which would be 21. It's It's where we're moving towards. I believe by 2021, our world is going to be so dramatically different that it will be hard to recognize all that has changed. This next year feels beyond words, beyond words. So I guess my encouragement to you is take a look, create some time, first of all, claim some time to be still and to take a look at just this past year and then the past 10 years and then perhaps your journey up until this moment, and be really present with yourself. What is completing? The person you have been up until now, if you could draw a line in the sand and say, that's who I was before 2020, and that's who I became once 2020 arrived. What are the things you know you want to complete? What are the behaviors, the expressions, the attitudes, the relationships, the work, the words, the anything, the health, right? What is it that you just want to say, I'm complete with that? It has served me to activate this awareness of who I am inside. And now we're going to turn our focus and we're going to start looking at who we're creating, who we're becoming. It's a really potent card for the past. I mean, really so potent. So I encourage you to take some time and, sit with that, reflect on that for yourself. All right, the present, turning in. So what's amazing about this card is how peaceful the figure is that's just sitting there. Look at the rows of the water, the flow of energy horizontally moving through. That would be from her heart chakra all the way down. Like she can feel the emotions, but it's all contained within her space. And then look at her aura of protection around her, the colors merging from her physical into her spiritual, the reds, the blues, the purples. And then behind her, to the side of her, all the yelling faces. They look like Dementors from Harry Potter. But look at how they're all like, blah, 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 blah. Right? Like trying to get her attention, trying to distract her. The one even looks like it has his hand like reaching towards her. But that peacefulness around her, it's not bothering her. Again, her eyes are closed. She has a direct line. Look from her crown. There's a direct line straight up to what I would call source or God. Totally flowing energy down and through her. And as still as she sits, her root is so expansive. Her physical experience with all of this here is so expansive, even though that line to source is so thin. That's what it feels like when we allow ourselves to access directly to source or God and receive information, energy, wisdom in, it just becomes more inside of us. It's what is it like in the stories with Jesus where he would have one fish and one loaf of bread? I hope I'm not saying this the wrong way, but he would have like just a little bit and then it would suddenly multiply and everyone would go, how did he do that? That parable, that illustration is to remind us when we connect directly to our creator and we allow that focus, the energy to come in and to focus, we can manifest so much around us in the physical reality. That little line brings us the information we need to an activated third eye. And the third eye can go, what is it that we need to do first? Oh, I'm going to follow that guidance. And then look how much gets created and flowed through and out us. So peacefully, she's not freaking out. She's not running around. She's listening. She's tuning in. The card says turning in, but I would add tuning in, right? Can we shut out all the noise, all the distraction around us and bring our awareness so powerfully inside that we can just then make very conscious choices about how to move through our lives. I believe this card specifically is for the next week. It's for, hey babe, it's for now through, I would really say through the end of next week, like moving through the New Year's Eve, and then going straight into the beginning of 2020. So through this time period, can you really allow lots of extra space to be present and to listen and to receive whatever guidance is going to come through. I've had several people who have said to me, you know, the holidays have been so busy and we've been running around and there's been a lot of activity. And so now what I'm looking forward to is the spaciousness to be able to meditate and to reflect on the past year and look into the future for the new year. That's what I'm excited about. There's going to be extra time, extra space for me to be able to meditate and reflect. And it's also, you know, an individual choice. Are we willing to say to all the voices around us, no, no, like right now, what I find most necessary for myself is this ability to just come into center and receive that love, that light, that healing. The pattern, you know, with so many people that I work with, the pattern is just give. And I know it's a reflection of who I am and how I've lived my life, which is why those are the kinds of clients that show up often. I give. I want to make sure to take care of. I want to make sure everyone else feels so loved and valued. And my heart's like, just here, here, here. And that is so important. And it's not something I want to change about myself. What I'm working on is, can I also receive in equal flow? Can I send out and allow back in? And so the place to begin for me always is closing my eyes and saying to everyone, not right now. I'm going to be right here. And then can I receive that extra love and light from source? Can I allow that much to come in? And I'm so resourced when that happens. When I meditate and I allow myself to feel the immensity of the love that I have with my creator, that my creator has with me, like it's humbling and exhilarating and all that is necessary. And then from that, these beautiful ideas and creations come. My priorities are reset. It's very easy, and this is one of the things for myself that I'm completing, you know, this sense of go, 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 and make sure I get everything done, and, you know, just always. And I thrive. I do really well when I'm moving fast and creating a lot. And also, right, more of this, more of this. So, clear? All right, and then our card for the future, and I wanted to make a note because this is important. January 13th, I believe it is, 12th or 13th of 2020. I wrote it down to make sure I would say it right because, you know, astrology is not my strength. And it's just enough to like be able to guide you to go look for what you need. Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction. This has been the topic of conversation. I heard about this 2 years ago at a retreat for astrology. And back then it was like, whoa, when that happens, whoa. And since then, it's just gathered even more steam, more power. You know, what I was describing about the calendar turning, as more people begin to become aware, oh, it's a decade, oh shit, what? Then more attention, more power, more energy is directed to that calendar change. It's the same for this conjunction. I don't know all the specifics, so I encourage you to please do your own reading, and you'll be guided to get the nuggets that you need. But this is apparently a conjunction that only happens, I mean, it's so rare. It's so rare. And from what I have been reading, it is a shaking up, a rumbling astrologically with all of these energies combining like this. So there's quite a bit that I've been reading about politics and finances getting really shaken up. The physical earth, because this is going to happen in Capricorn, the physical earth, right? Rumbling, earthquakes, like there is an intensity to what astrologers are guiding us to prepare for. And there's really nothing to do to prepare for it except to be aware that this is going to happen, and then to be able to place the events and activities as they show up in your life into those sort of guided astrological nuggets. So sometimes often when something happens in our world, we're like, oh, it's just me. I'm the only one going through this. And when we can be aware that there's this global or collective shift that is happening, we can start to breathe into it and go, okay, how do I place myself in what this collective shift is going to bring? It's not just me. All of us are going to be going through this. And it's just like with a calendar. You can go through this with no awareness. You can go through this. All these planets will be conjunctioned. Conjunct. I don't even know the right way to say it. All these things will happen whether you are watching the skies or not. And maybe you'll feel some bumps, some ripples. Maybe it'll be reflected to you in the external world, the environment in which we live. Maybe you'll just be clueless. I doubt that if you're watching this video. But maybe people will just cluelessly kind of move on and be like, I don't know what happened that day. But something is rumbling. And so if we can be aware of that and read information about it and then tune into it from that higher understanding, astrologers are very wise. And the information that they know and gather and research and then present to us, there's a lot of wisdom in that, and we can gravitate towards the parts that resonate with us individually. So not every astrologer is going to match what you feel or sense, but there will be some who do, and when you tune into what they're sharing, they'll have a lot of wisdom for you. So that's coming up very quickly in 2020. And what I sense is when we allow ourselves time to tune in, to listen, to connect to source and be very intentional, what is it that we want to focus our time and our attention, our creative efforts on? We get this creativity. So this card, what is the number of it? Number 3. Yeah, creativity for me, if you look at her, the image, it looks like she's touching it actually looks like an eclipse almost, doesn't it? It's like she's got her hands on the sun and the moon, but she's grounded in all of this activity and swirl down here at the bottom. And then her whole being is just merging with the earth, the colors of the universe. To me, it looks like she's bridging earth and heavens, right? Like she's able to hold the sun and the moon and be here in this reality. The number 3 to me always represents the triad, or the trilogy. So for me, that would be source, and then earth, and then humanity. And from this place of being so interconnected, creativity can flow, right? So you see that huge flower in her hand. It's like she's tapping the universe and then tapping the universe through her left hand, and then bringing all of that light and wisdom down. And then through her right hand, she's creating, and all of this abundance is flowing from her. The colors very much to me represent earth, greens and pinks and oranges and yellows, the blue of the water. There's, and then also just, I don't know if you can see as clearly, but like her eyes are closed and she's focused. Like it's all intuitively happening. She's not reading a book or a manual. She's not listening to a television or watching videos. She's just tuning in and flowing that energy through her. I feel like, and maybe it's because of this completion card with the third eye, I feel like as we move into 2020, as we really step into this Aquarian age in such a powerful way, as the calendar turns and we're in this 2020, the abilities, the intuitive abilities each of us have, we are infinite souls inside physical human dense bodies. So we are souls first, and we are always connected to the infinite, to the cosmos, to one, whatever names you want to use for that universal energy. When we remember that and we start to allow that intuition to be guiding us, we receive and we feel, we sense, we see something, and then we are taking action from that intuitive knowing, I believe our lives are transformed, and the ways that we show up in relationships, in our work, in our communities, in our bodies, everything changes. And so, the words I'm hearing are like it or not. Like it or not, there is a shakeup, a rumbling that is going to happen in this next decade that is very much connected to trusting our own intuitive guidance. And the more that we can practice that and be in that flow of our own knowing, I mean, it's like, to me, it feels like you activate this, and then you just step onto this like super powered highway. And you can go wherever it is you want to go. You can create whatever it is you want to create. So the journey again is we complete, we turn in, go inward, and then watch this creative power, this tapping in that is so accessible for us, and all that we can become when we allow that much, right? When we allow ourselves to receive more. Wow. Okay, so one more card we are going to pull from the top of the deck. We're going to kind of mix it up again and see what jumps out at us. I feel like one card from our guides is just going to sort of pop. This is also, there's one card left, of course. This is also our time to really get to know our guides, what I call our guides. Maybe you call them your angels or the beings that work with you. I feel like as we complete that puzzle piece, this activation around us just happens with those who support us in a non-physical way. So here we are in these physical bodies, but we are souls first. I believe we all have souls, that energies that work with us in this human journey, because it's so complicated to be a human. It's so dense here on this earth with physical bodies. And so I believe energy is always around us, guiding us. And can we learn to trust what this guidance is suggesting inside and listen, turn up our intuitive listening, and then be able to follow that guidance into creating lives that are richer than we ever imagined. The card from our guides, so good. The bonus is the burden. This card, it's so perfect. Shake it off is what I hear. Shake it off. So if you look, there's this poor guy at the bottom who's trying to walk up a hill. On top of him is this super fancy dressed guy sitting on his shoulders, pointing the finger and telling him where to go with the staff on the side. And on top of that guy is the rooster crowing, go that way, go that way. Actually, I'm going to read you a nugget from this card because it's very funny. It's the 6th card in the deck, which, hang on, let me find the page for it. Where is the burden? I thought this is the beginning. Hold on one moment. Oh no, it's not. It's 128. It's the 6 of clouds. Okay, here's what the burden says. This is guidance from our guides. A man's true life, I'm going to say woman. A woman's true life is the way in which she puts off the lie imposed by others on her. Stripped, naked, natural, she is what she is. This is a matter of being and not of becoming. The lie cannot become the truth. The personality cannot become your soul. There is no way to make the non-essential the essential. The non-essential remains non-essential, and the essential remains essential. They are not convertible. And striving towards truth is nothing but creating more confusion. The truth has not to be achieved. It cannot be achieved. It is already the case. Only the lie has to be dropped. All aims and ends and ideals and goals and ideologies, religions and systems of improvement and betterment are lies. Beware of them. Recognize the fact that as you are a lie, manipulated, cultivated by others. Striving after truth is a distraction and a postponement. It is the lie's way to hide. See the lie, look deep into the lie of your personality, because to see the lie is to cease the lie. No longer to lie is to seek no more for any truth, there is no need. The moment the lie disappears, truth is there in all its beauty and radiance. In the seeing of the lie, it disappears, and what is left is the truth. I'll read you the commentary and then maybe I'll add something here. When we carry a load of shoulds and shouldn'ts imposed on us by others, we become like this ragged, struggling figure trying to make her way uphill. Go faster, try harder, reach the top, shouts the foolish tyrant that she carries on her shoulders. While the tyrant herself is, maybe I'll say himself, is crowned with an imperious rooster. If life these days feel like just a struggle from the cradle to the grave, it could be time to shrug your shoulders and see what it feels like to walk without these characters on your back. You have your own mountains to conquer, your own dreams to fulfill, but you will never have the energy to pursue them until you release yourself from all the expectations you've gathered from others, but now think that are your own. Chances are they exist only in your own mind, but that doesn't mean they can't weigh you down. It's time to lighten up and send them on their way. Yeah, I would say shake it off. Shake it off. That's what that represents to me. Shake off the people that are trying to tell you what to do with your life and how to live, and shake off all the things that have been imposed upon you by other people. Sometimes that's titles or roles or diagnoses or stories. So let them go. Take them off your shoulders and tell them to find a different place to play. And then from this place of clarity, from this place of not having everything on your back, dream a little. What mountains do you want to conquer? You have a whole decade opening up in front of you. What do you want to do with it? If we are sitting here doing these videos in 10 years, who is it you want to be watching this video? Do you want all this still on your back in 10 years? If you don't, then you just start. You begin with one step. Maybe the first thing you do is you stop the mountain climbing and you just sit down and you take everyone off your back and you look at them and you tell them, I'm done with you being on my back. Yeah. It's funny because I don't feel that. I feel like I have completed much of this for myself in my own journey, and I sit here feeling very comfortable with where I am, and also not quite sure what's the mountain that I want to climb next. I don't have anyone on my back, but what mountain do I even want to go up? I don't know. So can we drop the expectations and sit in this place of wonder and look around us at this beautiful planet with gratitude and delight, with such appreciation, hello Gaia. Hello Gaia, we are here. Humanity sits on your planet at 2020. What is it that we're going to do with this next 10 years? What gifts in this 10 years of time are we going to create? I mean, it's just magnificent, isn't it, to contemplate that? 10 more years on this planet? Wow. What would we do if there were no expectations put upon our shoulders? Who would we become? It is a powerful time, my friends. So turn in a little, and then allow energy to fill you up, and let's see where it takes us. If I don't see you before the transition into 2020, Happy New Year. So much love.